Hello everyone and welcome to the south of France, where I am currently on my holidays. So this is Biarritz, gorgeous, cute, beautiful, warm, sunny Biarritz, and you are here with me this week because I was unwell before my holidays and I was unable to pre-record any content for this week. So instead I decided to take you with me on my holidays, and we're going to talk about something very important. The topic of this week's video has got to do with the size, and I've addressed the topic of the size before in sort of different ways. I talked about an average penis size. I talked about different ways to increase it for the gentlemen who are inclined to do so, and I also talked about different positions that would be good for a gentleman who is sort of on the smaller side of the size spectrum. But I haven't really talked much to the gentlemen who are on the larger end of that scale, and I know that there's quite a few of you watching my videos who are at least 6-inch or above, and I've been receiving a lot of different questions from you. So this video is about addressing the fairly common question of what actually is too big. Like, there are different sizes, but where is that barrier? Where is that kind of limit that says, okay, now that is actually too big? And when I was doing research for this video, I decided to dive into different sort of online forums and different online discussion boards in order to just see what people are saying, because I know what I think, I know what I've been hearing from my clients, I also know what the sort of literature says on the topic. So being a trained sexologist, I obviously have read a lot of manuals and research and a lot of opinions and a lot of just studies on this topic. But I wanted to really see what are people saying, what are both men and women saying about this size issue, and particularly about those bigger penises. And I discovered something very interesting, because it seems like among those answers or among those responses on those online forums, there were two sort of trends that I was noticing. One of them was that the gentlemen who were responding to this question were talking about the size as something that had to do more with the visual aspect of things. And so the bigger size, it seemed that the bigger size is more valuable because it looks better. Whereas the ladies, or the responses coming from the ladies, were concentrating around what feels good. So a certain size felt good, while certain sizes above that would potentially not feel good anymore, or would feel painful. So here you got these two very different trends, what looks good versus what feels good. And it kind of makes sense when you think about it, because men see penises often in the framework of porn. So that's when they would typically see a larger number of penises than just their own, typically. And since we know that the porn actors, male porn actors, are typically chosen for the role because they are larger than average, then all these men watching porn are kind of getting used to a certain aesthetic that is imposed by the producers or creators of porn. So that's what they're seeing, that's what they're referring to as in what a good size is. Whereas for ladies who typically don't watch as much porn, they think of penises in terms of what feels good to them. And a huge majority of women were speaking of those larger penises, so maybe about 7 inches and above, as just painful to have intercourse with. And while yes, there were a certain number of responses claiming that larger penises are better, there was actually quite a big majority stating that the more average size is actually absolutely sufficient, and those larger penises can actually feel uncomfortable to the inside of the vagina. And something important to recognize here is that just like men have different size penises, women have different size vaginas. Like, we are different bodies are very different. So if you are 7 inches and above, like, don't worry, it doesn't mean that all women will find sex with you uncomfortable or painful. Not at all. Majority of women do have vaginas that are about 4 inches length when they are aroused, and so they cannot very comfortably accommodate a larger gentleman. But there are women who have longer vaginal canals, so they don't feel very much when they are with a smaller sized man. So this kind of women, like, they would sometimes, I would see their responses on those forums saying, go big or go home, something like that. And a part of that potentially is because her vagina is longer than average, but a part of that can also be a bit of I guess, social pressure around this narrative that we hear, and we've been hearing for such a long time and so often, that bigger is better. Well, not necessarily, and not necessarily in sex, but it does mean that it is potentially difficult for someone to say, I prefer a smaller size penis, or I prefer a nice average size. So while that might be exactly what they're thinking and what they're preferring, it might be difficult to say that, especially online, especially on a forum where anybody can judge you and anybody can call you uncool or a loser for having some kind of opinions. But the truth is that majority of people are average in size, both penises and vaginas. Penises being just over 5 inches in length when aroused, and vaginas being around 4 inches in length when aroused. And this simply tells us that average size is a really good size for a huge majority of people. Not for everybody. There will be people who are different than the average, who aren't average in size. So there are obviously women who want the bigger size, for whom 7 inches and above is the dream and exactly what they want. And if that's your size as a man, you'll be able to satisfy them and give her exactly what she wants. If, however, you are a man of a larger than average appendage and you happen to fall in love with a woman who hasn't got a larger than average vagina, then you might just need to be a bit creative here. It doesn't mean that you're doomed. It doesn't mean that you're sexually incompatible or that you're bound to cause her pain or discomfort every single time. Not at all. It just means that you really need to take those size differences into consideration when you're making love, and that you need to really give her extra time or caresses and extra stimulation, extra foreplay. Maybe make sure to use a good lubricant so that she can accommodate your larger size more easily. But above all, have conversations about it. This is not a taboo topic anymore. You need to talk to your partner or different partners over the years about sex, about the size, about what feels good. Because maybe in many cases your idea of what she should enjoy or how she should enjoy your large wand, maybe it's not exactly what she wants and desires, and so you might need to adjust how you make love to her, or in what kind of ways, and what kind of different activities are included, and how long they last, or what else is needed in order to make your experience together the most enjoyable, satisfying and fun for both of you. And if this information was helpful, please make sure to leave me a like and also a comment below. What do you think is too big? I love reading your comments and I always respond to them personally. And I also hope that you've been watching my vlogs from the south of France on my vlog channel. You will find the link in the description bar below. I do have a second channel, not just this one, the sexual education channel. I also have my personal channel where I share my personal thoughts, experiences, and more recently, travels as well. So I hope that you enjoy watching my videos, and now have an absolutely wonderful day, and I'll see you next week.